What's up, everybody? How we doing? Got some folks joining in. That's awesome. How's everybody? Iron Chef. Good to see you. Good to see you all. Thanks for being here. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, man. Buckle up, because this dude is one of my favorite people, and he is as wild as they get, man. Stephen Arruda is the best. That guy right there. He is the best. Lake, Justin, Yao, Kim Tabor. Holy moly. Greatness. BB. Man, it always amazes me. You guys join up. We're so glad to have you all. Thanks for being here. We're going to have a great conversation today with Stephen Arruda from Mike Reynolds. Man, he's going to tell you all about it. So I'm not going to steal his thunder at all. But got to get a little greenery in the background there, right? Sorry, I thought I had this all set, but I got to tinker a bit. Man, there's great friends in here. Love having all of you. Yeah, you guys are amazing. How many of you have ever had a microphone or a piece of gear fail you at the last minute? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever had a piece of gear betray you at the last minute. Anybody? I know I have. More times than I can even tell you about. I've had gear fail. I've had all kinds of stuff. Emergencies happen at the last minute, or look, there they are right there. I've had all kinds of stuff go wrong. And here's the deal. We're going to talk to a guy today who can help you solve those things, right? Whether you plan it or it happens at the last minute, this is the dude who can help you. Further ado, let's welcome in the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen Arruda from MikeReynolds.com. What is up, my man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good. I've never done one of these before. Oh, so
You're,
I hear a
you're,
lot of music in my ears. Is that from you or is that me?
that's you. I think it maybe
Okay.
your phone may be playing music, or it may be connected to something who's playing music.
Okay, dang it.
It's all right. You're
It's
crushing it.
really bad disco elevator music. So it's,
So if you
it's
start
kind of like a
dancing,
98 tempo,
if
I think.
if you start dancing, we know what's going on, man.
Yeah, I think everything I'm going to talk to you is going to be very rhythmic because I'm every answer I got.
Oh, I love it, man.
Hey,
I love it.
Brian, how you doing? Welcome to Friday. Here we go.
I told him before you got in here, I was like, just buckle up, because this dude is
Oh my
wild, man.
goodness.
You never know what's going to happen with this guy. Um,
If this was elevator music, so many more people I think would get off the elevator happy. I'm going to find out the source of this, and it's not just in my head.
I believe you. I totally believe you. Um, I'm just waving at people who have joined in, and I was telling him a little bit before you jumped in about, I was asking people, you ever had a piece of gear fail at the last minute? Like, what's the worst emergency you've ever had? Um, and so, like for you, you're serving churches all over the country. What's the wildest request you guys have gotten
Oh man. This music. Um, oh goodness. It would have probably well, oh, that's right. So what comes to mind right now is Karis College. I think that's Womack Ministries out in California.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Colorado. My bad. So they're
Colorado.
like just outside of Colorado Springs. Well, the some of the biggest uh, hangups that we end up having is, we're not the last mile carrier, right? That's
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
UPS and FedEx, and we can't control their weirdness, right? So this was February of last year. I mean, and this is Brian. This is like I felt like it was like the end of a Friday or something like
oh
that. So
man,
we're all
wow,
like getting
yes,
ready to head out, right?
yes, yes.
Well, I got a call and like, hey, just a heads up, we're tracking our stuff that's in Oklahoma City and hasn't moved for a couple of days. It was just like, oh
Oh,
boy. And if I remember, it was quite a bit. It was like 12 to 16, no,
oh
probably
man,
more than that, of Axient.
oh wow, wow,
So not cheap stuff, right?
yeah,
And not to mention, so equal channel count in DPA headsets. Oh no, it was ULXD. That's right. So, uh, all we can do is just get on the phone with them and be like, "Hey, this stuff is not going to get to you on time. Here's the options. I can send everybody down to the rental room, and we can put we substituted it without upcharging them for it with Axient,
wow, wow,
was
wow,
able to do all the headsets, and then we put everything on United Quick Pack. So United Quick
yep,
Pack, it literally goes from the counter at United at Tulsa to the counter at United in Colorado Springs. So it was there waiting for them the next day. They just went and picked it
wow,
up.
wow,
And at the same
wow,
time, we're like, UPS, turn our other crap around. Yeah,
yeah,
it was,
exactly,
but it's the heavy pivots that really challenge our character.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely,
that makes us, I think, that proves like who we really are when it comes down to it. Versus, sorry, we can't control UPS.
right,
It's one thing if we don't have it any type of substitution to send. It's a whole nother thing. But even still, just
yeah,
I feel like we don't give up.
yeah,
One of our core values is relentless customer service, and
yeah,
that just it gets defined in those moments and proven in those moments. Like it puts our money where our mouth is
yeah,
type moments. So
absolutely,
that was kind of one of the crazy. It usually has to do with like a last minute carrier thing.
wow, wow. Well, and that's ministry, right? Last minute pivots, like that's we all have to be willing to pivot at the last minute. So, man, if you're watching, we're talking with Stephen Arruda from MikeReynolds.com. So, if there's a church out there who maybe Mike Reynolds is new to them, um, tell us what you guys are doing and how you're helping churches in some unbelievable ways do some incredible ministry. Tell for the new listener, what is MikeReynolds.com?
Sure, and it's funny. Even though it's like in our name, right? We're not like renting LED walls or anything like that. But we kind of picked this small little niche. It's like
Yeah,
stay within the box, right? That's kind of
right,
our
right.
thing. So it's like small audio microphones, small audio equipment, and which includes wireless IEMs and things like that. So we get used a lot for the try before you buy scenario,
Hmm.
the capsule shootout. So if like you're trying to dial in a singer that has some nasty frequencies and you want to fix it like kind of at the source versus EQing that out, doing a capsule shootout helps big time because like we can guide you in things like that, but it helps to be in your room within your stage with your people. You can
Yeah,
read reviews till you're blue in the face, but you bring it into that room. Like the microphone manufacturers don't know how you're PA is tuned. It doesn't know the acoustics of your room or how loud your stage is. So you kind of have to do that, and you save money by doing that versus buying what could equal up to like 4 grand in capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
have to spend time to return all those and all that stuff, get charged restocking fees or whatever. Makes that process a little bit easier. And so we get used for a lot of that. We get used for a lot of room recordings. So if like I feel like the audience gets they get thought of last. And I have this saying: you can only record the audience one time.
One
You
time.
can't
Yeah.
overdub the. Hey, it's like,
Right.
hey, we screwed up at worship night, so we just want the crowd to come back in. We're gonna play a video back, and you respond. That ain't happening, bro.
It's not happening. It's
That
not
yeah,
happening.
that it's like imagine if the Super Bowl had to be played all over again with,
Right.
with
Right.
actually we learned what that was like with during COVID when sporting events had to mix crowds in
Oh,
from
wow.
they had to mix pre-recorded crowds in because that it makes the live event, right? So whether it's your church is still kind of getting new and used to streaming and they want to improve the liveliness of it to make you feel like your watchers and listeners are in the room with you, that helps out so much, and it can be done easily with just really 4 microphones. But that's something we pretty much offer for free is kind of like a consultation before you jump into
Mm.
before you jump into the actual rental itself. So um and same thing with any other thing that's thrown at them. There's some people that are out there. I know a lot of worship leaders get kind of thrown into that production management position, and that's not easy. I work with a lot of them, and they're very overwhelmed. They can't get into the weeds when it comes to like the technology of stuff, and so we have to guide them. They'll ask for like, hey, I need 12 headsets for a thing coming up. And so what they don't realize is like, oh, do you need the wireless systems that go with those headsets? Because we've
Yeah.
sent them out. I kid you not, Brian. We've sent them out and they're like, hey, how are we supposed to use these? I was like,
Right.
You're connecting them to an existing wireless system. We don't have that. Okay.
Okay.
That's a question that gets asked up front now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's happened. And then like there's been some pretty, I just approached the conversation with curiosity, and I find out like, okay, they're like the music director or
Yeah. Sure.
worship pastor, and they don't know this stuff. And so
Right.
we
Right.
have to kind of treat everybody that same. And of course, when we establish the relationship, we know they know their stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it yeah, we still get asked that, and at first it makes you kind of like giggle, but like, okay, you realize who you're dealing with. They
Right.
got a lot in their plate. Let's try to make this simple and walk them through the process. And because
Yeah. Yeah.
when you make it simple, people come back, and
Yeah.
you treat them with respect and curiosity and kindness, like they continue to come back even more. Because I get it. Not everybody's been working production for 20 years and knows
Right.
all this
Right.
stuff, and not every church can afford to have a worship pastor and a production director.
Exactly.
I
Probably
get it. We're all
most, I
different.
would think. Yeah, I would say most probably. And
Yeah.
that would be something I would do. I would order the headsets and just have nothing to plug them into. Um, so, so I'm glad you're out there doing the Lord's work, man, helping people. And well, like you said with your name, MikeReynolds.com, your website is right there. It's right there in the name. And so
Yeah.
you have an incredible website that kind of walks people through, gosh, all manner of. And so I would assume that's probably the best place to start. If MikeReynolds.com is new to you, head to MikeReynolds.com and check out what they have. I mean, you guys have you have it all.
Yeah, like I said, within that like little box, I think we didn't want to. I don't. I didn't want to be dealing with like PAs. That requires manpower, space,
Sure. Yeah.
literal
Yeah.
overhead storage, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't like being in warehouses unless I have to. So our ceilings are no bigger than 10 feet. Everything's like climate controlled, and
Yeah.
it's neutral smelling. So you don't open a package and like somebody was just like smoking a rope in the
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happened when my first warehouse, the
Oh
next
my
door
gosh.
neighbors, the tenants allowed their employees to smoke, and it was leaking under the walls. And so
Oh,
I'm in that environment, and I'm highly allergic to secondhand smoke. So
yeah.
sinuses are a mess,
Yeah.
and just wanted to kind of eliminate eliminate that experience. But um, we're trying to keep things within that, some large format consoles. The only console, funny enough, that kind of fits what we do has been I think we added it last year, was the Waves LV1 Classic.
Mm.
Because, oh my gosh, what you get in that desk is like so much bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I encourage a lot of people to try it out.
Yeah.
Um, and also we could support it. I It's hard for us to get things that we don't know how to use ourselves.
Sure. Sure.
Ergo, hard to support.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect everybody else out there to know how to set up a console, set up their stuff. And
Sure.
so, yeah. But I mean, gosh, for a fraction of the price, you get a nice test run on a desk that has so much value in it, let alone how much it can be expanded. So that's kind of like the biggest thing we rent out. We do have rack and outboard gear type stuff, like API 2500s and SSL uh, um, gear as well. That kind of got us into that little bit outside of our comfort zone, but I knew where we didn't want to go beyond that. So when this guy got released, it like I said, it just made sense for my team
Yeah.
to be able to support it. Not to mention, it can ship via like FedEx or UPS. Because freight can get complicated.
Sure. Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
it can. So we try to just avoid that as much as possible. You know, we build custom racks for people who need higher channel counts and things like that.
Mm.
But that's like case by case
Yeah.
type basis, especially if it makes sense for everything to be in one, like
Yeah. Yeah.
16U rack or something like that. So, yeah.
So, okay, we're talking with Stephen Arruda from MikeReynolds.com. Go to MikeReynolds.com, check it out. And Stephen, you're like the most interesting man in the world. And we're gonna get to these in just a second. I'm now addicted because of you. Um, but am I right? 6 kids?
Yes. Yeah. People always say, like Stephen and his 12 kids and all that stuff. And I'm like, guys, it's six. I know it's
It's
still high,
six.
but let's not make
It's
it
like
ridiculous.
it's like the Brady Bunch, the Arruda bunch.
It is. And everybody's very, very different. 5 girls, 1 boy. Uh,
Wow.
and my wife and I were, funny enough, we're talking about that this morning, just how different all of them are. If you want something like destroyed, assign that to my son.
It's got you
If he has
covered.
permission, it will get wrecked. But then if you want something like tidied up and neat, that's
Yeah,
gonna be Eliza.
yeah,
She'll just do it. I'll come home and somebody cleaned my desk, and half the time it's her. you know yeah. And so it's great to see them have their all little personalities. We're
yeah,
in the season where we're teaching them I think this is going to be constant, teaching them to work together, because all those different personalities, holy cow, it just can. They're about to learn. We're about to go to tomorrow. We leave for Washington D.C. on a
oh
family trip.
wow,
Yeah,
nice,
we're
nice.
on the way there. We're visiting some friends in Nashville. We're going to the Blind Co on Sunday. Love that
Oh yeah,
church. So
absolutely.
shout out
Yep,
to Brent
yep,
and Miles. I always go see my homies when I'm
yeah.
in town. But funny enough, as going to my niece's graduation, this always happens. Somewhere where I'm going, there ends up being like events renting from us that are happening. So we're supplying audience mic package to our friend Corey Edwards. Is
Oh
I believe he's doing the broadcast side for, I think it's Rededicate 250 America 250
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
happening on Sunday.
Okay.
We'll be there, but then later on in that week, some of our good friends that came out of the Bethel family, Liam Monroe, Jonah Thompson, and then Tyler Carino, he came out of Elevation. They're going to
Mm.
be doing an event called Baptize the World over at the Museum of the Bible.
Ooh,
So
love it.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
like, "Hey man, stop by." I was like, it's going to be on my head. I
that's
just
awesome.
I that part's pretty neat. And my kids are just kind of now understanding like what Mike Reynolds does and the reach that we have.
Yeah,
And I told him it's all the stuff we did early on that has kind of set the standard for what we do right now. So yeah,
absolutely.
it's neat for them to see that. Have a couple of them that come in and help with actual check-ins, because that hallway's pretty dang scary right now. It's like Easter happened,
Oh
and
man,
Brian, just picture 50 feet of cardboard up to 6 feet high,
oh my gosh.
just all the way down the level, and then cases are mixed in and out of that. So that takes a while to go through, but then right after Easter, we support the basically it's like, what school theater productions are happening, the spring
Yeah,
dramas,
oh
right?
sure.
All that stuff. And so there's another wave. And by the way, I'm talking to you while this music is still going in my head.
You're still, man. You are fighting the good fight over
Yeah,
there, man.
I am. Well, that's another thing. When you have 6 kids, you can choose certain things out. Wait. Was someone crying?
It's a skill. It's a skill you've developed over many, many years.
Oh yeah, there they all are back there.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. So, okay, tell me, we're talking with Stephen Arruda from MikeReynolds.com. If you have a microphone need or some kind of audio need, check out MikeReynolds.com. They're serving churches all over the country. And talk to us a little bit about Mike and Ike.
Okay. So we're like, and those are like what we would call our rental rewards. We believe in gratitude big time. Vitamin G is like what I like to call
Oh, I
it.
love that.
Yeah. If you ever read the book Unoffendable, that's
Mm,
my team and I are in the middle of that book right now. It's fantastic. It's just
mm.
approaching everything with grace and gratitude. It's fantastic. Hopefully people watching, that's great for any team. Um, and it's basically its main big theme is like anger and grace cannot and gratitude cannot coexist, and it's pretty darn right. It's pretty good. So, um, when I first started, I had to reach out with these boxes that I sent to just random, like 50 random production guys. Um, that basically I went through Andrew Stone's Twitter account and I was like, that guy seems great. What church is he at? Right. And it's funny, one of them I think was like Lee Fields at the time. I didn't even know his connection in the
Wow.
future, like the
Wow.
future. But there was some good ones on there. All of them now are like are repeat customers. So that's pretty awesome. But in that box, we I only had $25 to spend, so we put in a magic microphone, a kitty microphone. We pulled the labels off and put Mike Reynolds stickers on them.
I love it.
We made these. I wonder if I still have it on my desk. I think I do somewhere in here. Ah, it might have made it to my archive, but it's a metal badge that we got made for that, a lanyard, just cool little knickknack stuff. Well,
Yeah.
one of my partners was like, "Hey, what about some Mike and Ike's? It's green, like one of our colors," and I was just like, "Great!" So the result of those being in rentals today is because we did those early and I had leftovers and I used them, and then somebody was like, "Hey, where's the Mike and Ike's you sent from like the last rental?" And I was like, "Okay." So about a truckload of pallets worth of Mike and Ike's later, here we are. It seemed like a really good fit. They don't melt. Sure, they might coagulate and stick to become a
Yeah.
brick
Yeah.
in the summer, but no, it just seemed like a good fit. Not to mention, like they have like the seasonal flavors that we send out,
Yeah. Yeah.
for Christmas, Easter, and they'll have like patriotic stuff and the Red Rages and stuff. I have to be honest. I'm 47. Um, they don't process the same way they used to when I eat them. So
Gotcha.
I,
Gotcha.
I had to put a little pause on those. Oh my goodness. They turn to like charcoal in my
Oh my
so
gosh.
it's not
They
it's
don't
yeah,
process the same. That's
it
right.
is not good. But that was the beginning, Brian. And so like I was like, okay, so we've done Mike and Ike's, cool. What are we just gonna send like more and more and more? As if somebody has a bigger rental. So we started like doing like coasters, which people
Mm,
liked. Of course, stickers were always in there, but then I was like, I started doing Starbucks gift cards.
Oh, nice.
Then we're
Nice.
like, we met Gene Kim um,
Mm,
at one of the MXUs. I think it was the tour we did in 21, and he was like, "Hey, I can make you guys a special brew." I was like, "Let's do it." Fast forward to now, we're ordering, I think, like 60 bags a month from our
incredible.
dear good friend Gene Kim. Love that guy, and not to mention his heart for the
Mm,
kingdom and stuff. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. But yeah, so we send out crew brew. I think if you spend like 250 or something, we throw one of those bags in. And then there's even another level that a lot of people don't know about, and that we send out like Snake River Farm steak packages.
Oh my
You're like,
gosh.
how come I'm not on this?
Yeah, man. I need some.
Yeah, so that's just kind of just again, just always giving back, and what it's become a really cool tool to, of course, this is going to attract like the production community, like as a whole, not just the church community. First of all, the church production community, that's our roots, and that's, we honor that first. That's why like the majority of our selection is fine tuned towards that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, eventually the touring industry found us, so, and I developed some incredible friendships through that. Hey, you got to see one of the shows. You went to Justin Timberlake's show, right?
Oh my word.
That's
Yes.
my good friend James Berry. I got to go to a couple of those and be
Wow.
stand right behind him and watch that monolith come forward.
Oh my gosh. I would, first of all, that's a hard pass for me, man. Like the height of all that. I couldn't do it. But that was not my natural habitat, Justin Timberlake, but
Oh, right, right,
we
right.
we had friends who a couple days before, they were like, "Hey, we just got tickets to this. You want to go with us?" And we should, sure. Oh my word. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing. Yeah.
um just even when he came out to the B stage and like out into the like the club or whatever they had back behind
Yeah.
front of house,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just did that acoustic stuff, and it was just like
Incredible.
uh yeah, I was like fanboy that fast, and
Yeah.
the musicianship
Oh
and
my
the
gosh.
it was
So one of those songs, we weren't close to that stage. We were closer to the main stage. And so he's back there and we see him while he's playing keys and singing. He kind of leans down and I'm like, okay, I don't know what just happened. So later on social media, I see, so we're in Indianapolis. So it was Caitlin Clark and her fiance from the Indiana Fever and Tyrese Halliburton and his fiance from the Pacers. They were getting a picture taken of the four of them in front of that B stage, and he has the presence of mind while he's playing and
to lean
singing
in.
to lean into the picture, and they posted it on socials. It was the
Oh
coolest.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was awesome. It was awesome.
We sent the drum mic package out for
Oof.
that too, and again, that's from relationships, man.
Yeah,
And James specifically, we met him when he was at a season, because obviously in 2020 touring shut down hard. um and he did a stint at Passion City Church in Atlanta,
oh
who we were
wow.
already working with, Stephen Bailey and those guys. Oh my God, he's been like friends for life now, because
Yeah, yeah.
there was a lot of last minute stuff. I was running to the airport. It felt like every other day, overnighting stuff, Delta dashing, whatever I could to get it there as fast as possible, and they never forgot it. So no matter
That's
where
awesome.
these guys end up going, Stephen Bailey is now full time with Chris Tomlin, and goodness, James works for Claire Global. But geez, he's about to do Jay Z and the Roots at Yankee
Oh
Stadium.
my word. Oh
I
my
was like,
word. Oh my word.
what? It's so cool, but it becomes because we're so different. It's almost like they start to find out and ask why, and they find out like the roots of us coming from Church on the Move and serving the
Yeah.
church production community first. And you think we would have had the reverse experience, but it's 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 great because like we kill people with kindness every dang day, and it's really fun to do that, and we come through for everybody.
You do, and I love that. I love your heart so much. And I'm just looking quickly here. Episode 334 of our podcast. You came on and we did a deep dive into Stephen Arruda and
Yeah.
MikeReynolds.com. So for all of you watching this, check out episode 334 of the Worship Pros podcast, and you'll hear even more from Stephen. But we're so cheering you guys on at MikeReynolds.com and what you guys are doing. And here's so technology moves so fast.
Yes.
What are some things that that have you kind of pumped for what you're going to be able to do for churches here in this next season?
That's a really great question. I feel like we're advocates for the church production community because we hear their gripes because we have the
Mm,
same things. And like a big one right now for us, and I might be poking the bear, but I'm not afraid because when you have in-ears, of course, have changed a lot, have actually helped a lot of front of
yeah,
house guys, especially being able to control the game before feedback because you're getting rid of stage wedges, and so
sure.
this, oh man, that's huge help. Um, and but with in-ear technology, there's been some shifts in that landscape, and
Mm,
specifically with Shure and Sennheiser, and they just kind of went like, okay, we're doing this very expensive stuff like right out the gate, or in 2025. You have Axie and PSM, which is incredible stuff, incredible technology, but
mm,
it is not cheap. We
yeah.
own we own a decent amount, and we've sold a decent amount specifically for markets where it makes sense to have it. We're talking like heavily crowded RF or high channel counts and heavily crowded RF areas. Like Houston, Chicago, Los Angeles. That level makes a little bit more sense to do like that. But we have some places like in Dallas. Um, they can't swing that, and the vacuum was created when PSM 1000 was just shut down. Um, and you'd think they would have kept that as a natural progression from 300 to 900 to 1000, PSM 1000 to Axie and PSM, and it's like all of a sudden gone. So you have this huge gap between IMs that are under $1,000 a channel to jumping to systems that is close to $3,000 a channel.
Wow, wow.
It's very tough to justify that, and also consider yourself a good steward if
Sure,
there's
sure.
if you can't justify the technology, let alone the expense. So right now we're trying to help a lot of churches navigate you know that gap, because you look at for Sennheiser ended up doing Spectera, very new technology. um, uh, um, it's using the WMAS, which is can put tons of channels within like a little 6 megahertz with a tuning band. A lot of people don't understand it. Not to mention that the handhelds aren't currently available.
Mm,
So it's just
mm,
like,
mm.
okay, you can get into it for in-ears, but you can't get into it for the handheld. So that technology does both. You can actually do an in-ear and a headset mic off of the same pack. So it's
Oh,
it's
wow,
basically like
wow.
a transceiver. Yeah. Uh, so then again, like there's this little bit of a gap that's created, and with you have IMG4, which that's only going to be so around so much longer, and then I've discovered that your Sennheiser 2050s, those in-ears have a tuning bandwidth which is wider than PSM 1000, and it's about $1,000 cheaper. So that's been
Wow.
something I've been advising a lot of people to do, if they because the manufacturers are only going to they're going to show their cards only so much, because believe it or not, there's leaks out there just like in any other industry, pharmaceuticals and or whatever. They don't want anybody else catching onto their technology and getting ahead of
Sure.
them. So we're always trying to prod them to be like, hey, what can we tell our customers and our even just our friends, like
Yeah,
what's going on, what are we going to expect? Because XPSM and Spectera have been heavily adopted by like the touring industry. Well, that's because they can afford it. They're having the constant revenue off of those
sure,
massive rentals.
sure.
um And so, but for a church to just do a capex expenditure on that, it's just gotta it's it's gotta make sense. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's excite excitement slash like um heavy expectation on what
Right.
the two giants in the industry are gonna
Yeah.
are gonna do next to make it a little bit more of a natural progression to get to the higher level stuff without just. I mean, I hate it when I've had to be on the bleeding. I am on the bleeding edge of technology. When something changes, we have to shift. But
Yeah.
thankfully, audio, and especially microphones, doesn't change too much versus lighting and video. You wait a year and stuff has changed. Stuff's gone. You
Yeah.
know, and so that's kind of that's why we just continue to venture out, like go to NAM, try to make it to somebody NAB Infocom, just to
Yeah.
stay. One thing that was exciting for us, I'll finish with this, was that when Shure created the G57 bands, it was already existed for Axient, and so a
Mm.
lot of people who needed that tuning band were forced into spending a ton of money on Axient. But last year, ULXD was and SLXD, the little bit of a lower tier, um, was being deployed with G57, which is one of the widest bands you can get. So that's like 470 to 616. That's tuning bandwidth. Before you would have to spend so much more money to get Axient, but now if you don't need to use those Axient
Right.
features, you can now have the same tuning bandwidth, but you're not paying the Axient price.
Oh.
And if you can't afford ULXD, you can slide down to SLXD. Biggest difference is most of the packs and stuff are plastic versus the metal
Mm.
that's in ULXD, QLXD, ULXD, and Axient. But that's helped. That's helped. Not just a lot of churches, but some of the lower budget tours. Gosh, even Christ in Youth. It's a
Mm.
ministry out of Joplin, Missouri. I think Corey Edwards actually got his start with them. Um, they do like 5 or 6 different trucks touring the country, and like having that G57 wider tuning bandwidth without having Axient help their budget and help them like logistically when it comes to the RF stuff. So that was the thing that I think we were the most excited about last year, and then going into this year as we were selling off some of our G50, H50, in some of those markets, one of those two bandwidths are just murdered with TV
Mm.
traffic.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so still sellable, and we're able to regain some of that to reinvest and whatnot. But anyway, that's something that's helped us a lot navigate some of the more complicated RF deployments with, again, and also staying within a better budget line for those customers. But that's kind of what's exciting in our world.
And I love that. I love that. So if you're watching, we're talking with Stephen Arruda, the founder of MikeReynolds.com. If you got audio needs, like maybe you have a special service coming and you don't want to buy, 5 extra channels of wireless, where you can rent that from MikeReynolds.com. So check out their website, literally right there in the name, Mike Reynolds, MikeRentals.com.
Yeah, it's not
Uh,
Mike
Mike
Reynolds,
Mike
by the way.
Reynolds. I'm sorry, Patrick Mayberry just commented that a while ago. Mike Reynolds, and so you can rent that from Steven's company, MikeReynolds.com. There's a link in our bio for them. There's also a discount code there at the link. You'll find it there, and it'll save you a little bit of money. And that's what happens when you're doing business with somebody who was born out of the local church and whose mission is one of the heartbeats of your mission is to serve the local church. And so, MikeRentals.com. Check the link in our bio, discount code there. So you talked a little bit about earlier about like one of the mistakes that churches make is maybe they don't have all the information and they only rent maybe a part of are there any other mistakes that you think maybe churches make when they're picking microphone systems?
By the way, disclaimer for anybody showing up, I'm bobbing my head because I have music in my ears
Yeah,
that I
he's
cannot.
doing this whole thing with he can't find the music that's playing in his AirPods. So he's doing this whole thing with music. That's a that is a testimony to you, man.
I think what it is did you put music with the ad for, hey,
I did. I did. It's Planet
that's what this
Shakers.
is.
Oh
It's
gosh.
stuck.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
And by the way, it's like if this is you and this is the music, you're here.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you're like an Avenger if you're
Like I
able
said,
to do
my six
this.
kids have trained me to tune things out. That's right thing to tune. So your question was just like some mistakes, like
Mistakes that you see churches making.
yeah, sometimes when it comes to like a lot of like some of the drama rentals that we get and people are asking for headsets and they hear like this is what they should get. We're not they don't I don't think they realize like, hey, you have people running all around your room with these Omni headsets on, just FYI, you're gonna be fighting everything. Or
Mm, mm, mm.
um you rented all these directional headsets. Well, all of those are going to need windscreens, otherwise you're going to be hearing nothing but plosives and breathing and all that stuff. And so we've had to do like, mid performance change outs or change outs just before performance. So it's good to just ask as many questions as possible. Because we do have different options, not just brands, but also just some of those different brands provide different form factors, in a lot of those headsets. Uh, and, even if somebody has to uh, be able to hear music cues and whatnot, just like the proper IEM systems that can go with like your existing. We do stuff with people's existing systems all the time, and we actually urge them to, hey, if you can use what you have, let's see if our stuff can tie. Let's try to get our stuff to just tie into yours. You have extra slots on your combiner or your
Mm, yeah,
distro, your combiner for in-ears or your distro for wireless mics. Yeah, let's try to minimize like this, the separate racks and separate antennas if not. So yeah, we just don't be afraid to ask us like questions. Don't
yeah,
feel you're never dumb.
yeah,
The
yeah,
questions are there really is no such thing as a dumb question. You may feel
yeah,
like that, and just like let it rip. We've
yeah,
heard it.
yeah,
We've heard it all. But it's okay to not know.
yeah,
It's a lot. Now we do this on a daily basis, so yeah, we know. But when
yeah,
you're just dealing with, you know, your in-house stuff and that's it, there's a chance you don't have time to watch a bunch of YouTube videos or go to MXC. You might not have time to take all those
sure,
resources and to know all this stuff, let alone it doesn't stick with that application, right? So
yeah,
we're applying this stuff on a daily basis. I even kick myself up to the rental room to do check-ins, especially when the season's very hot and heavy.
yeah,
I've had to do it. I've had to run here on the weekends, like last minute IM need, and it's funny. Like I remember the first Axion system I set up, I did not know what I was doing, but I sure knew what the crap I was doing by the time I was done with it. But that's our advantage. We get to play with that stuff all the time. I
yeah,
approached it like, oh, this is a typical IM setup, and I was like,
yeah,
oh no, it's not.
yeah,
And I was like, why is this happening? Why? But that was the thing about just that what I said about being curious. It's just like, instead of just saying, oh, this is broke,
yeah, yeah,
I'm really curious to what uh how this works. And now that I know it, oh, I could totally help somebody on the phone, let alone like consult them either through a rental or a future purchase or whatever.
yeah,
But that's it's okay to ask about things you don't know. If you don't know if something can patch into this or patch into
yeah,
that,
yeah,
please feel free to ask. Or if you're having a problem with, especially worship leaders, if you're having a problem with that vocal that just seems to be more annoying, you're all in the same capsule. So I was like, well, maybe she needs to be on a different one. They need to be on a different. I said she, dang it. Because the females that have some of the harder and harsher tones or can,
yeah,
so that's what we've run into, or they're very breathy and things like that. And a big start is you don't even have to come to us if you have another capsule to try out, just to switch them on, switch it. And then once you run out of your options, then come to us for ours, and you just let
yeah,
us know like what you've already tried and
yeah,
what problems you're having. Because there's so many factors when you're doing those capsule shootouts, and it has to be done in your environment with your
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't just get up on the stage and go check 1 2, hey 2 2. Oh, I think it's gonna work good for them, and they get up there and there's a frequency sticking out that it feels like a rusty eye pick, a rusty ice
Yeah.
pick into your
Yeah.
eye
Yeah.
socket. 4K right there. So that's the thing. It's like, please utilize us for, for our knowledge, and we're in it for the long game. It might not turn out to be like a transaction or like a rental or a sale for us immediately. That's okay. We just like talking to people. It can be.
Yeah.
My guy said I was gone for a couple of days this week, and they said, "Man, I was quiet without you here." I was like, because I love talking to people, love getting to know them, but I also, um, part of being like either showing up at a church and hanging out with their production guys or production team, or being at an event. I'm trying to find bottlenecks for people. I'm trying to find problems that we
Yeah.
can offer a solution to.
I love that.
That's
I love that.
the biggest thing we're curious about, is like, how can we make this less painful?
Yeah.
Because everybody in here, we were all from that. We felt it, and some of them were some of the guys that work for us now, they were customers, so we did something right.
I love that. I love that so much. And if you're listening or watching this, you can understand why we love Steven so much, why we love MikeRentals.com, the mission. You guys are crushing it. And I'm just nosing around on your website here, and stuff that maybe people don't think about. Like, maybe it's not a handheld microphone that you need to rent, but maybe you're bringing strings in for a special service, or maybe you're going, uh, bluegrass, and you got a fiddle player or whatever. I mean, you've got mics for that. You've got mics for choir. You've got, if you've got choir for one weekend a year, maybe you don't want to maybe invest money in buying those microphones. You can rent them from MikeRentals.com.
And I want to tell a quick story. And it's funny, I was just down there 2 weeks ago, down at Hillcrest Church in Pensacola, Florida. Shout out
Wow.
to Gavin Crane and his awesome team of volunteers. Volunteers that if anybody watches, they're a volunteer. You're mind-boggling, because you're giving your time. And there was a guy in my past that I called him a time philanthropist, because that's what he
Wow.
gave from. He
Wow.
wasn't very wealthy, but he had time and he gave it. And I know God saw that. So God sees that for you
Mm,
volunteers that are out there. Huge. I was just like, oh my word, if they lived in Tulsa, I would probably hire them. That's
yeah.
how awesome these volunteers were. But we were there, and a story with Gavin and Hillcrest was, they do choirs every weekend,
Mm,
and so he's trying to dial the choirs in, and we sent him, um, he bought some mics from us, rented and then bought some mics from us, and then he also rented and then ended up purchasing choir flex from us. He's still having trouble after about a month, and I was like, just determined, like, hey, this processor, I don't think it's going to help for us. I was like, hey man, it's still within your 30 days, just send it back. And we determined that the mics that he got aren't going to work in his room. His
mm.
room's having a lot of issues that the mics aren't just cannot help with, and the processor was fighting it. Just so we took those back too, and we switched the entire thing out with some DPA 4097s, and we used some micro shotguns and some 2015s. Those are just very wide, to help with his choir. He got that dialed in, and it's funny, because of how we were with the whole return of it. No one likes returns. Even when you go to like Best Buy, they kind of look at
Yeah.
you like weird when you're bringing something back. They don't like No one likes returns. But I was like,
Yeah.
for us, returns aren't a problem, because returns just turn into rentals. It's like, just going to our
That's
rental
awesome.
stock, not a big
Yeah.
deal. But we ended up, he was like, now that I think I got this dial in, I would love to bring Choirflex back in. And man, that really took his choir to another level. I remember him sending me video from in the room, and then YouTube links to even how how it affected broadcast. Um, and yeah, that was a huge thing. That's something that has become a passion over the past maybe 3 or 4 years, especially from the introduction with the Choirflex processor. Um, just because that ended up being like, for the guys who have to deal with it week in, week out, it solved a big problem for it, because they are constantly being told, I can't hear the choir enough, or I can't hear the altos in the choir enough. It's just like, oh my gosh, now they're getting down to sections, let alone the whole choir itself.
Wow. Wow.
But it's allowed him, so he got that back, and now his choir is killer. And it's funny, we were just down there watching him go through a big like PA and acoustic change out, and it's just like a whole nother level. And it's just, that's the fun part about doing this sometimes, is being able to go on site and like, okay, finally meeting the person face to face, hugging them, hanging out with them, looking for those additional bottlenecks. And while we were there, he had a great idea for piano miking, especially if your stage is very loud. He took the newer Shure Nexodine 5s. They're made for guitar amps, but they sit really low,
Mm,
right up against the strings on a piano, and it was
mm,
killer. I was like,
wow.
dude, you came up with that.
Wow.
I didn't.
Wow. Wow.
So we're like AI. We're learning from our people
Yeah.
that use us, and we're adapting too. They'll tell us if something didn't work and one way or the, and that's oh my gosh, that goes into our relational database. And so like next time somebody comes along with a problem like that, it's awesome to give some like case studies from our experience. So and you mentioned strings too, right? That's,
Yeah.
you can't have Easter without strings. You can't have
Right.
Christmas without strings.
Right. Right.
So, just that's become a really big, I never thought I would own over 240 99s and whatever other instrument mics we have. But that's something, if you don't know microphones specifically, just send us basically your input list, or like all of the instruments you're trying to cover,
Yeah.
whether you're trying to cover them individually or in sections, because we get it. Some people don't have the channel count to be able to
Sure.
to cover
Sure.
like a 40 piece orchestra. But we've done some pretty crazy and awesome orchestra stuff. It's funny. I suck about posting to Instagram, and I'm so bad. Christian's probably watching this, but he's my social media guy.
Yeah.
I'm bad about feeding him stuff to
Yeah. Yeah.
post. It's just, I go through my phone. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot we did the billionth download celebration for you version back in October. Yeah, you didn't know either.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, we mic'd the choir and the orchestra
Oh my gosh,
for
that's
that.
phenomenal.
And bro, that was like a family reunion, because like it
Yeah.
was like Jay Desai, Jeff Sandstrom, Bailey, Josh Cruz, Josiah Canson. It was so many people. It was cool. It was like a big hang. But yes, we worked side by side with Spectrum Sound, which was doing the overall sound package, and love Spectrum. And yeah, so we got to supply the mics, and I was like, hey, we're here. We might as well help, like, deploy them, and then make
Yeah.
sure they get off the stage accounted for, because it was quite a bit. But yeah, it's cool things like that. I just, like, I forget about, because we're there for all the right reasons. I don't
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
a a Boy Scout banner with badges on it for all the things we've been able to do. But I just some great interactions with the people that were behind that. What a momentous moment. The Bible
Incredible.
app's been downloaded over 1 billion times. You
Incredible.
know,
Absolutely incredible.
yeah. So that's pretty, and I'm one of them.
That's
That's,
awesome. Me too.
I'm sure
Me
you are
too.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Me too.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, just when you're approaching that, don't be intimidated too much by, like, if you've never done strings or orchestras or whatever. That's something we can easily walk a lot of people through, or string
Yeah.
sections, or whatever. There's, because now, you might not realize there's different sensitivities that need to be used depending on the SPL output of the
Mm,
instrument. So like horns should be using a less sensitive mic than
yeah.
strings and all that stuff. But that's what team and I have the knowledge on, and are happy to share it. Even if we're not your rental house of choice, if you have somebody
Yeah.
down the road and that's been your relationship for 10 years, do it.
Mm,
That's that's super helpful. They're a
yeah.
phone call away, and they're down the street. They can help you. Use that first. But
Yeah.
we're around if we need to plug
I
any
love it.
holes.
I love it, man. Man, Stephen, thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for how you're serving churches. We love you. We love Mike Rentals. And again, go follow them on the socials. And like every 4 months, Stephen will post something on Instagram. Um, even it
When I
might be
remembered.
it might be the billionth download of the YouVersion app. You never know. But yeah, follow them and go check out. It's right there in the name, MikeRentals.com. And poke around the website, man. There's lots of education there. And if you have questions, ask them. Like he said, they're willing to help. And man, we are cheering you on. I hope you have a great trip to DC. Tell everybody I said hi, and we'll do this again sometime.
Yeah, that's gonna be looking for. It's a little bit of both, right? Because you're responsible for that many lives that are only
Oh man,
18 inches off the road, and
right?
but that's gonna be good. We need it. My family sacrifices a lot for to allow
Sure,
me to do this stuff, and so just giving the kids some very like important core memories and things like that. I was like, hey, you have it better. I had to ride in the back of the station wagon, awkwardly looking up in the third seat, awkwardly looking at everybody who was behind us. That was
absolutely.
my
What a
trip.
terrible idea. What a terrible
From
idea. First of all, yeah,
New Bedford,
exactly.
Massachusetts, all the way down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana,
Oh my
bro.
gosh.
That
Oh my
was
gosh.
that was
You earned it.
that was yeah, that was crazy. Hey, and thanks so much for providing the background music that I can,
I'm so
bro.
sorry. I'm so
I'm
sorry.
gonna be
I don't
texting
know
you.
how that.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know how
text you a
that
couple
happened.
of days later, and I'll be like, bro, I still am hearing this music.
Turn it up. Planet Shakers. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
goodness. Thanks so much for having me. We
You're
love you
the best,
guys.
man. We love you too, Stephen. Thanks, brother.
All right, we'll see you.
All right. We'll see you. So there you have it. That's Stephen Arruda, MikeReynolds.com. We love that dude. We love their company, a company kind of born out of his experience at Church on the Move in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And now they're serving churches all over the country. And they serve more than churches, but the church is kind of where their company grew out of. And so if you're at a school or a company that needs mics for an event, they do that too. So check out MikeRentals.com and go follow them on the socials. Guys, we're going to do some more of these lives, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.